So today we are going to be talking about cutting, grinding, and safety. I want to give a big thanks to Benchmark Abrasive Products and also Simtech Incorporated right here in New Albany, Indiana. This is going to be a two-part video. Part one will be with cutting wheels, grinding wheels, and flap disc. How to use them, how to get the most out of them, and why are there so many different varieties. So let's talk about safety. Safety is one of the biggest things that you need to take serious. There's too many people out there who get hurt every day just by not following those basic safety rules. I will admit, there are times that I am very guilty of not following those basic safety rules, mainly because I'm trying to get in a hurry and get something done, not taking the time to get the proper equipment that I need. And that's a fault of my own. So I'm not sitting here trying to tell you that it's the right way to do it. I'm admitting it is the wrong way to do it, and I have been guilty of it as well. A lot of people might find this information irrelevant, but there is a lot of people out there who don't understand how important this safety stuff is, especially in cutting and grinding. One thing I like to talk about is respirators. Right here, save your lungs, okay? You don't know what's coming off those every time you cut into a piece of metal. You don't know what's actually in there, especially with galvanized. You want to talk about getting sick? There was one time I was down for 3 days. I had a fever so bad from cutting into raw galvanized, and it was the first time I ever had. I didn't know anything about it. No respirator. And halfway through the day, I just started feeling horrible. And then I started running 103 fever and was down for a couple of days because of it. And ever since then, that taught me a lesson, period, just to wear a respirator when I'm cutting and grinding. It's only going to help you and benefit you. So if you're new to the industry and you're not sure which respirator to get, there are actually websites with charts. You can even Google respirators and the type you need, and there'll be a chart. Different respirators across the board, being the paper mask, some like this, full respirators. These are my favorite to use. I feel like they just block out everything. But you know, they do have the cartridges that you can change out as well. Another one is grinding hoods. Okay, so grinding hoods, I will admit there was a time I didn't like using these at all. I would just use my safety glasses and kind of make sure my head was back and making sure nothing's flying at my face. But still, there was times where stuff would kick off and hit me in the cheek or the ear or something like that. But I gotta say, this grinding hood right here is by far the best grinding hood I have ever used. This one is made by Benchmark Abrasives for 40 bucks online. This is not some cheap, chintzy little plastic either. The lens on it is nice and thick. I really like that because I have seen some grinding hoods where that lens, the ones that you replace, they're just paper thin. I never really cared for them. The best part about this hood too, you can actually use your full respirator like this with this hood. They have on the side here, like a lot of welding hoods. You just unscrew a couple little parts here and you can slide this headgear either towards your face or away from it. Another thing too, they got a lens kit that you can attach to this. So if you're cutting with a torch or a plasma cutter and grinding as well, you're not having to switch between your safety glasses and your plasma glasses, or your grinding hood and then your plasma glasses, or vice versa, whatever your choice is. I like this one because you can do your cutting via oxyfuel or plasma, flip this lens up and start working on your grinding. So it just takes a step out that you don't have to worry about, and it's keeping you safe the entire time. And it's pretty slick. It looks neat too. I really like this. I got my cameraman back behind me. His name's Ethan. When I put it on earlier, he immediately thought Darth Vader, so you know I had to go into the Darth Vader mode. But anyways, besides that, ear protection. Now, we all have our choice on ear protection we like. I have always just liked the disposable ones. I have gotten earaches multiple times before trying to use those reusable ear protection plugs, but that's why I just get these disposable foam ones. All you do, you take these things, you roll them in the tip of your finger, okay, squash them down, push them down into your ear, and that foam will expand and protect your ears. You do this in both ears. Safety glasses. Even if you don't feel like your grinding hood is safe enough for you, and you want to add a little extra, put your safety glasses on too. A lot of shops, a lot of industries, they actually require you, regardless if you have a welding hood on or a grinding hood, that you still have to have these safety glasses on. This particular type I like a lot. I feel like it wraps around my eyes much better and tighter than your more generic versions of the safety glasses. So if you're going to get something for protection, you know, don't be a cheapskate about it. Make sure that you get something that is good, strong, and reliable. And also, you know, your gloves. Having the right kind of gloves is important too. So don't just go to your you know, local hardware store and find your 50 cents clearance deal. Get you something that's good and durable and that'll actually last you. It's going to benefit you and your wallet later. And this one right here. Okay, this is the one I was really wanting to get to. I'm going to move some of this stuff to the side here. Oh, wait a minute. Let me get to one more thing. I actually had somebody ask me. They said, "Why do you have a sheet hanging when you make videos?" So I want to talk about my sheet over here. This isn't actually a sheet. It's a fire blanket. The reason I have that fire blanket up is because when I'm grinding, I always make sure when I'm grinding that stuff is flying towards that fire blanket. I don't want it going all over my garage where I have wood and other things like that around that it could potentially catch on fire. Because some of that stuff comes off hot enough, all it takes is some you know, wood dust or paper to ignite it. But yeah, so I went to Harbor Freight and picked this thing up. It was like 30 bucks, and they're huge. And I have not had, I bought two because I was afraid it would wear out fast. I've had that thing hanging up for a while now, and you can, it's dirty obviously because of grind dust, but there's no holes in it. It's just been wonderful. There's a lot of little metal particles in it, sticking in. I could look at it right now. Actually, can you zoom in over here? All these little black dots. You got a good visual?
It's okay.
All right. So yeah, all these little black dots are little metal shavings. So it's even catching all, the fiber of this stuff is actually catching all that too. So, okay, go ahead and pan back over here. So getting one of these fire blankets, I recommend it. I think they're wonderful. I've been up under the frames of Jeeps, and I'll try to tuck this thing in around gas tanks if I'm working on frames or things like that for repair. I just like to take those extra safety precautions. So, and another one too, if you're not a fan of the fire blankets for your grinding area, go get you a welding blind. You can get those mobile welding blinds. I have one as well. It's got the frame already, and it's just got those quick disconnects for the frame, and you throw your blind up, and right there, boom, you got you a portable little grinding area. You know, I don't know, I've seen quite a few shops, but I don't know if all of them have it, where you go in there and they'll have a designated booth to where you go in and grind, and it'll have 3 walls, one to the left, one to the right, and then one right in front of you. And that's just so that, you know, for safety reasons, all that dust and material and any material that may fly across the room is just going to hit that wall and fall right there. So that's another idea to have if you have a small area to work in. Build you a little nice little area to grind all your parts in. Now, I definitely want to talk about grinders. This one, I don't want to say it scares me, but it does keep me aware. I have seen some horrible accidents with grinders and cutting wheels. Okay, so, but first what we're going to talk about, this handle right here and this guard serve a purpose. Please use these two, okay? Do not allow yourself to be in a position to where you're going to get hurt because you didn't want to use these 2 pieces. Yeah, they can get in the way sometimes, I understand, but also all you got to do is push that little button, move that guard to where you want it. You can even take this handle off, put it on the other side. Even some of these, this one particular too, it actually has a spot on top to where I could put the handle and hold it up here. Okay, just make sure you have those points of contact to where if something was to happen, you have control of this grinder to where it don't kick back and hit you in the face or the arm or the neck or any other place. Another thing too, with these grinders, I have seen this a lot actually, and I don't look down on people that have this confusion because they may not know. Nobody's probably ever told them. So right here, your nut that you get with your grinder. So it'll have a little lip on it right here. Now, I'm going to use the cutting wheel and then a hard wheel to show you exactly where I'm going with this. It's right here in front of me. So when you put your cutting wheel on here, yeah, you can zoom in on this, please. You got a good view there? All right. So right here, you have a nice, good, flat surface. I always check to make sure there's no burrs on here or any debris buildup. If there is, I'll wipe them off or I'll file that burr down. The reason is you want that flat surface to be nice and flat and clean when you put this on here, okay? Now, here's the kicker. You have two options when you put this nut on. I see a lot of people do this backwards. They'll actually take and put this lip right here down on it and torque that thing down because they think, well, I'm not getting it tight enough, my blade's moving, and then they wind up actually damaging this whole area and having to cut this nut off. That's unfortunate. But, okay, your flat end right here that does not have that lip on it, that's actually what's going to go directly down onto that cutting wheel, because now your surface here is flush, so you actually, I thought I was going to be slick and spin that on real fast. That didn't work out. But anyways, you want that nice, flush, and flat. A lot of these grinders do come with a wrench to where you can tighten it down. Yeah, that's absolutely, you can do that. Me, I just push that button in and I give it a nice little tighten, a little torque on it, and that's about as tight as I'll go with it. But in that meantime, make sure that thing's unplugged, because if you're going to do something like that with your hand like I just did, you don't want to accidentally hit that power button and lose a couple fingers. That wouldn't be a good deal. But now let me get to what I'm talking about with the hard wheels, because this one I do see a lot of as well, and I see it on flat disc too. Now right here, this is going to be a little different than when you put the cutting wheel on there. So when you're putting that grinding wheel, that hard wheel on here, you're actually going to have there's going to be a space between your threads and your grinding wheel here. That's when that little notch right here, that lip, is actually going to go down in between there, and it's going to help center your grinding wheel and be able to go all the way flush against the grinding wheel. This is important, and yes, I have seen people actually have this on here completely wrong. What they'll do is they'll take this thing, put it on here like this, and torque it down, making, because they feel unsafe about it. And feeling unsafe about it in the beginning is a good thing, because it's just going to make you double check yourself. But just kind of remember that. You would be surprised how many people do not know this, what that lip is actually for. And that's what it's for. Another one too. Now, I have still yet myself to figure this one out. So, are we zoomed back out, or are we back in now?
We're kind of like in the middle.
Okay, that's fine. And forgive me, me and my son, we're having some fun here, some, father-son time. So, I get a lot of enjoyment out of this. I really do. I appreciate the time we have together doing this stuff. But where I'm going now is right here. We'll go with cutting wheels. A lot of people ask which side you would put this wheel on a grinder. Do you put the label facing to where you can see it, like this, or do you put the label down to where you can't see it, like this? I haven't got an answer for that. I've still been scratching my head since day one. This is how I look at it. Your grinding wheel right here, this is your cutting area, okay? All these fibers woven together, and then you got this metal that's compressing everything as well. So it works like a washer. But anyways, when I put this thing on here, and this is what is this, a 27? This is a type 27, which I'll explain that in a minute. So when I put this on here, this type 27, this is exactly as how it's supposed to go on a grinder. Okay, you're not going to flip this over and have the label down. And I'm going to show you this one too on the flap wheel. When you put a flap wheel on there, that label is up, facing you, just like this. You can't put it on like this. It wouldn't make sense. So the way I look at it, if these two, you have to have the labels up, facing you. I'm going to do my cutting wheels like this too. I have yet to actually find, anything that says otherwise, but looking at the disc, you can see the way it's woven. There's nothing that's saying, hey, you know, the fibers are woven in one direction. The cutting wheel itself doesn't say what direction it should be facing. So I just go off of how these go on. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but hey, if you know, please reach out and let me know, because I would like to know. Also, your type 27 and your type 1 cutting wheels. Let's see here. I want to. Now we got type 1. Your type 1 is going to be completely flat all the way across for your cutting wheel. Okay. Now your type 27 is going to have this where it's depressed, where it's pushed out on this side. That I like using these personally. I feel like they just kind of get a little closer away from my hand and not so close to my fingers. One thing I don't recommend for anyone, now I know a lot of individuals out there do it, is putting cutting wheels on this. Okay, you have no protection on here if you put a cutting wheel on here. So if this thing gets away from you and it goes across your hand or towards your face, there's no guard or anything. Okay, I'll take a nice little rug burn with this bad boy, then I'll take something with this. Okay, I don't ever recommend doing that, but there are people who do. And we're also going to get into, like, example right here, my Milwaukee drill. They also, some of these Milwaukee drills that have high torque will have a handle that comes with them like this, and they're really simple to put on. I recommend these highly. Don't break your wrist. I haven't seen anybody that broke their wrist, but I've seen people who actually strain their wrist when that torque really grabs a hold and it spins back on them, and boy, it gets them. I use this a lot, this handle. If I'm really drilling into something, absolutely. Now, if I'm in a situation to where, you know, I'm using these quick disconnect disc here, let me get this off of here. Now, if I'm using these disc right here, yeah, I won't. I'm not going to use a handle because I'm lightly going over something. And with your pneumatic tools, same thing here. These aren't meant for, you know, high torque applications, but we're going to get into these kind of tools here in a little while with your pneumatic, your power tools, your grinders, and we're going to give some examples of what can actually be done with these cutting and grinding wheels. We're also going to talk about how to get life out of your cutting and grinding wheels as well. I really like this right here, and I'll show you how it actually works. But for example, you got a flat disc here, and the number one thing that'll clog these up in a heartbeat is mill scale on steel. So if you're trying to strip mill scale out and you notice it gets to where it don't really want to work, take a little bit of this, put this on there while it's spinning, and what it's doing, this waxy, it's hard as a block, it's grabbing all them clogged up pores and pulling it out. So it's refreshing it in a way. This is going to save you a lot of money and time, because yes, I've seen a lot of people, they'll think, oh, well, this is no good. I've used it for 30 seconds and it's not working like it did when I first fired it on. Well, no, it's fine. It's just the pores are clogged up. So we're going to show you how to make sure that you don't have to waste these anymore. Same thing with the cutting wheels. Cutting wheels, especially with aluminum, okay? Aluminum is very abrasive when you get into it. So if you take one, this is, yes, it's a cutting wheel, but it's also abrasive. It's giving a sanding action at the same time it's spinning. So when you take two pieces of material and you're sanding them together, then things are going to really die out fast. So I like using waxes. That's going to help keep your cutting wheel cool. Along with you know, you got your belt dressing stuff here. You can use this too, but it's more made for sanding belts. But you can also use it here to clean out the pores. Your cutting wheel starts getting clogged up, cut that through there a couple times and clean it out. But your longest lasting is going to be a wax. Your wax is what it's doing as it's cutting. And I'll get a nice little close-up video of that as well. Is when you have wax on your blade, as it's cutting, that wax is actually pulling itself to the side off of the material with all that debris. So that way you're able to just get a nice, smooth, clean cut all the way across. So let's talk about flap disc. This one right here specifically is for aluminum. It has a white coating on it. These do an amazing job when you're having to do some grinding on aluminum. So we'll get into that later, and I'll also do some videos on using them compared to if you were using one for steel or stainless steel, so that you can see the difference between them. The other one is your ceramic. This is one of the better ones out there, in my own personal opinion. They last a lot longer. So if you got some heavier duty grinding you need to do with a flap wheel, I recommend the ceramic flap disc. Now your aluminum oxide, they do wear a little faster, and the grains don't seem to last as long, so they dull pretty fast. Also, with you also have your aluminum cutting wheels. There are specific wheels for cutting aluminum. And then also you have your metal cutting wheels, so it'd be stainless steel or mild steel. You can use these on aluminum in a pinch, but again, you will definitely need some kind of lubricant doing so. If not, you're not going to get very far using them. That's why there's all these different specific ones. A lot of people just reach out and grab something because they're not sure what to grab. So knowing this stuff will help you. Yeah, I might be giving you a generic watered down version of it, but I'm just trying to give you the most basic example of what's going on here. So we're going to go ahead and start making some videos on using these products, and I'm going to do it on various steels. We're going to use some stainless steel, some mild steel, and also some aluminum. And again, a big shout out to Benchmark Abrasives and Simtech Incorporated for, making this video possible. I do hope it helps a lot of you out there understand the importance of safety and understand there are different discs out there for the job. Quick example, okay? So let's say I've got a big nasty weld I need to grind down. I am going to go get my hard disk first, and I'm going to take that down as low as I can before I start getting into my base material. Then I'm going to jump over and I'm going to grab a 60 grit flap wheel, okay? I'm going to start smoothing that thing down nicely. Then I'll jump in and grab where is it at? Let me find it here, sorry. An 80 grit, okay? And then I'm gonna go to a 120. That way, by the time I get to my base material, everything should be nice and smooth and just kind of blend in nicely together. That's important to remember. So instead of just grabbing a random disc, trying to knock down a weld that shouldn't be there and burning through this thing when you shouldn't have to, it's going to help you in the long run price-wise, because you'll just sit here and burn through these over and over again until you get that weld cut down. So I'm going ahead and wrapping up video part 1. We still got a lot to cover with cutting and grinding. So we're going to hit more on some mild steel on the next video, some more stainless, some more aluminum as well. I'm going to also include in the next video some wire wheels by Benchmark Abrasives. We're also going to do polishing and mirror finishing products along with quick change disc. So if there's anything in the meantime before the second video does come out, please send me a message and let me know something you would like me to hit on more specifically. Thank you for your time. Thank you for watching. I'll see you all soon.